Have you ever truly considered the color of your eyes? Perhaps you viewed it as a simple biological inheritance, a detail written in your DNA. Yet, ancient wisdom traditions suggest that nothing about our physical form is accidental. Even the hue of your eyes can be seen as a subtle signature, a quiet reflection of your inner world, your inherent temperament, and the energetic path you are walking in this life. Your eyes, the way they hold and reflect light, the very depth of their color, are more than just a feature. They are a window to your spirit's landscape. The laws of nature itself reveal a profound possibility. The color of your eyes might echo a deeper spiritual pattern, a silent resonance of who you truly are and why you came to be this way. In our time together, we will explore how each eye color, blue, green, hazel, brown, can carry its own energetic imprint, a pattern of emotions, strengths, and life intentions. But before we begin this exploration, if you feel a resonance with this path of deeper understanding, I invite you to subscribe and join our community. This is a space for those who feel the pull to look beyond the surface, for those who wish to understand themselves from a place of quiet truth. So, take a moment, meet your own gaze in a mirror, because the insights we are about to share might not just change how you see yourself, but also help you understand what your own eyes have been trying to communicate all along. We exist in a world that consistently trains our attention outward, long before we learn to look within. From our earliest days, we are taught to focus on how things appear, on the actions of others, on the path of fitting in. Yet, we seldom pause to ask what is looking through our own eyes. What is the quality of awareness that animates our gaze? And what might that presence reveal about the essence of our being? The wise ones have often reminded us that the surface is merely the beginning of the story. The world we see, and even the body we inhabit, is shaped in profound, often invisible ways by our inner landscape of consciousness. And within this landscape lies a hidden architecture of energies, stories, and deep-seated instincts. These could be seen not as mere thoughts, but as foundational blueprints, primordial currents of energy that influence how we connect, how we fear, how we learn, and how we create obstacles for ourselves. They emerge in our dreams, in ancient tales, and in the repeating cycles of our lives. It has also been said that these currents can express themselves on the body, particularly in subtle ways like our posture, our expression, and yes, even in our eyes. If the body is a canvas for the spirit to express itself, then the eyes are surely one of its most profound masterpieces. Consider the eyes as a sacred symbol. Why do we instinctively feel that the eyes are a gateway to the soul? How can a single look make us feel either completely transparent or deeply understood, without a single word being exchanged? And why do we sense so much from a person's presence in their eyes before we even know their story? An old perspective would say it's because our spirit is recognizing something ancient, a truth beyond language, something that belongs not to one lifetime, but to the collective journey of all existence. In many spiritual traditions, symbols are the most potent language of the deeper mind. This language isn't literal, but it is always saturated with meaning. A symbol holds layers of truth that can't be explained away. They must be felt, lived, and experienced. And across all cultures, the eyes are one of the most powerfully charged symbols on earth. In timeless myths, eyes are connected to truth, clarity, danger, allure, and divinity. The eye that sees all, the protective eye, the inner eye of wisdom. In every tradition, they are seen as portals between worlds, between two people, and between our conscious awareness and our deepest self. So, what if the specific color of your eyes, their tone, their intensity, their depth, carried not just genetic information, but also symbolic clues to your inner architecture? This isn't about fortune telling or placing people in boxes. It is not about saying all people with green eyes are identical or those with brown eyes share one destiny. Instead, it's about inviting a different kind of inquiry. What energetic pattern might be expressing itself through the symbolic hue of your eyes? The great spiritual paths speak of a fundamental unity between the body and the spirit. They teach that our body is not a mere vessel, but a living, breathing expression of our soul's inner terrain. From this viewpoint, the way we walk, speak, breathe, and even experience illness is often a reflection of unconscious energies. This is why a master might observe a student's posture, their breathing, or even the clarity of their gaze, not to define them, but to understand how symbolic systems reflect their inner state of being. So, when we ask, "Why do I have these eyes?" we are truly asking a deeper question. Why am I here, in this form? And what do my eyes communicate about the journey I carry within? Viewed in this light, the color of your eyes becomes a gentle invitation. It is a doorway to explore the specific current of energy that flows through you. This isn't because an external force assigned it to you, but because your spirit may have chosen this hue as a part of its unique language. Consider the symbolic meaning of color itself. Before we examine eye color specifically, we must acknowledge that color holds its own vibration across all of nature. Colors evoke deep emotional and spiritual associations. Blue, the calm clarity of the sky, coolness, depth, a longing for the infinite. Brown, the stability of the earth, nurturing presence, warmth, and resilience. Green, the energy of growth, renewal, vitality, and constant transformation. Gray, the stillness of dawn, mystery, balance, and quiet introspection. Hazel, the complexity of a forest floor, a blending of worlds, duality. Black or very dark eyes, the depth of the cosmos, intensity, the unknown, and potent inner power. These are not rigid definitions, but resonances. Each color aligns with certain fields of energy, much like the seasons, the elements, or the phases of the moon. So if your eye color has a certain symbolic tone, it might suggest you carry a corresponding energetic imprint, not as a label, but as a starting point. It is a symbolic lens through which you can better understand your own nature. This aligns with the core teaching. We are not one single static thing. We are a river of many currents. Yet, each of us has a few dominant streams, inner patterns that shape our personality, our struggles, and our gifts. And these currents often reveal themselves in how we carry ourselves, how others feel in our presence, and yes, even in our physical appearance. So, let's return to the mirror. The next time you meet your own gaze, don't just ask if you look tired. Ask what is trying to be seen through your eyes. Is your gaze piercing or soft? Is it curious or guarded? Does it feel like it's holding something back or sharing something profound? That feeling, that inner quality, may be more essential than the color itself. Because even among blue eyes, there are infinite shades. Even among brown eyes, some are warm and gentle, others are deep and commanding. Your direct experience of your own gaze and what you feel there is what truly matters. This is the path of direct inquiry. It does not rely on stereotypes, but on symbols and on the unique dance between your everyday life and the deeper energies moving beneath the surface. In the next part of our journey, we will begin to explore how different eye colors may correspond to these life energies, not as binding rules, but as reflections of the inner stories you are living, often without even knowing it. What does it mean to carry the gaze of a wanderer? What truth lies behind the eyes of a transformer? How does a guardian perceive the world? What makes some eyes feel magnetic and others feel almost unseen? These are the questions we will start to gently unravel, not to limit you, but to illuminate the beautiful, invisible patterns within you. Because in the end, your eyes are not just how you see the world, they are also how the world first begins to feel who you are. Now that we've opened the door to this symbolic world, it is time to journey deeper into the meaning each eye color may carry, not just biologically, but emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. Remember, these are not fixed labels. This is not an exercise in being told who you are. Instead, it is an invitation to recognize, to finally see something you may have always sensed about yourself, but never had the language to name. Let us begin. Blue eyes, the wanderer, the soul of the sky, the inward gaze. There's a notable quality to blue eyes. Whether they are sharp like winter ice or soft like a clear morning, they seem to hold a certain distance, a spaciousness, a question. They appear to look through the immediate world, as if searching for a truth just beyond the visible horizon. Symbolically, blue eyes resonate with the energy of the wanderer or the seeker. This is the part of our consciousness that longs for the unseen, that is never fully content with surface-level explanations. The wanderer journeys between worlds, with one foot grounded in reality and the other reaching into the great mystery. Individuals with blue eyes may carry a natural inclination toward deep thought, contemplation, and the search for meaning. From a young age, they might have pondered questions that others found strange. Why am I here? What is the purpose of all this effort? Why does this world sometimes feel so foreign? This deep current of longing can make them incredibly emotionally aware, even if they appear calm or reserved on the outside. Many people with blue eyes possess a kind of subtle energetic awareness, an ability to feel slight shifts in the mood or tone of a room. Yet instead of reacting immediately, they often retreat inward to process. They tend to live not on the surface of life, but in the undercurrent of thoughts, feelings, and silent perceptions. One could say this points to a soul that finds its deepest truth in symbols, in stillness, and in the quiet space of solitude. But every path has its shadow. The wanderer can become lost on the journey, always searching for the next piece of wisdom, and may struggle to feel completely at home in the present moment. Their mind is often drawn to what was, what could be, or some perfected version of reality. They may also wrestle with a unique kind of loneliness, a feeling that others don't truly perceive their inner world. Their depth can feel like a weight when the world around them only values superficial connection. Their liberation comes when they learn to trust their own inner guidance without needing validation from the outside. They stop searching for a place to belong and begin to create that space within themselves. Their gaze then transforms. It no longer asks for permission to be deep. It becomes a gentle invitation for others to discover their own depth. In blue eyes, the potential is not just for observation. It is for true clarity. And when that clarity is turned inward, the wanderer finds their way home, becoming a soul that doesn't just seek meaning, but embodies it. If these reflections resonate with the journey you are on, consider joining our community by subscribing to the channel. Together, we can continue to explore these deeper currents of life in a space of shared understanding. Liking and sharing this insight helps others who are on a similar path find their way here as well. Brown eyes, the anchor, the soul of the earth, the energy of grounding. Brown eyes are often considered common, and so their quiet power can be overlooked. But symbolically, brown eyes are among the most potent because they embody the very energy of the earth itself. In the language of energy, they resonate with the pattern of the guardian or the anchor. This is an energy of steady, unwavering strength, the one who remains when others become scattered, who listens deeply before offering a word, who builds, protects, and nurtures with a quiet, consistent loyalty. People with brown eyes often radiate a solid and reassuring presence, something you can lean on. They often find themselves being the emotional foundation for their families or communities, whether they consciously choose that role or not. Others are naturally drawn to them for comfort, for a steady hand, for a space to be heard. And they often give this support freely, without asking for much in return. This reflects a deep-seated nurturing energy, regardless of one's gender. It is not about the literal act of raising a family, but about the spiritual function of holding a safe and stable emotional space for others. People with brown eyes may absorb the feelings and burdens of those around them almost without thinking, having learned from a young age how to soothe, support, and endure. But the anchor also carries a heavy load. This profound constancy can come at a personal cost. They might quiet their own needs in order to maintain harmony. They can become emotionally unseen in their own life story, so accustomed to giving that they forget the art of receiving. They may remain in situations or relationships long after they have served their purpose, out of a deep sense of responsibility. Ancient wisdom warns us about the danger of merging so completely with a role, even a noble one. that we lose ourselves. For brown-eyed souls, the path to wholeness is about reconnecting with their own inner light. It is the realization that being a source of strength does not require them to be silent about their own needs. That true loyalty must include loyalty to oneself. That they can continue to be a grounding presence for others without losing their own voice. When they learn this, they become more than just protectors. They become healers. Not because they simply absorb hardship, but because they have learned to transform it into wisdom. Brown eyes do not need to be loud. Their power is not in the flash of light, but in their immense depth. They are not bright like fire. They are deep and life-giving like the soil. And from that sacred ground, entire forests can grow. Green eyes, the transformer, the bridge between worlds. Green eyes are uncommon, and they often carry that same feeling of rarity in their presence. There is something captivating, almost entrancing about them. People often perceive green eyes as mysterious, intense, or untamed. This perception is not random. It reflects a unique blending of inner energies. Symbolically, green is the color of life, of balance, and of powerful transformation. It is the meeting point between blue, the cool, contemplative water of the spirit, and yellow, the warm, expressive fire of will. Similarly, people with green eyes often find themselves living between worlds. In the language of ancient wisdom, green eyes resonate with the energy of the transformer, the one who alchemizes pain into strength, shadow into awareness, and raw instinct into profound insight. These are not individuals who experience life passively. They feel everything with great intensity. Their emotions, their passions, their intuitive hits are all highly charged. But unlike a pure warrior or a pure mystic, the transformer holds the energies of both fire and water within. They embody a living paradox. Green-eyed souls often move through major cycles of death and rebirth within a single lifetime. They might experience profound inner shifts, moments when their entire reality dissolves, only for them to emerge as something stronger, more authentic, more whole. This is not a comfortable journey. The transformer must be willing to face the shadows within, again and again. Sometimes this manifests as periods of deep sadness, anxiety, confusion, or heartbreak. But each time they rise from the ashes, they carry a more profound truth. They may be drawn to paths of healing, creative expression, psychology, or spirituality, any field that allows them to unite opposites and create wholeness. But the shadow of this energy is a restlessness of the spirit. They can become attached to the intensity of transformation, constantly creating upheaval because they fear stillness. They might provoke or challenge others emotionally, not out of malice, but from an unconscious desire to awaken something. They may also wrestle with an emotional fire that they cannot always contain. Their journey is to realize that true transformation does not require constant chaos, that deep peace can be just as potent as wild passion, that becoming whole is not about destroying parts of themselves, but about weaving all of them together with compassion. When a green-eyed person consciously walks this path, their presence becomes magnetic, not for surface-level attention, but for its raw authenticity. They are rare, not because of their appearance, but because of what they carry, the profound ability to hold both the brightest light and the deepest shadow in a single, compassionate breath. Hazel eyes, the weaver, the soul of complexity. Hazel eyes are famously difficult to define. In some moments they appear brown, in others green. Under different light, they can reveal flecks of gold, amber, or even gray. But it is this very fluidity that makes hazel eyes so powerful from a symbolic standpoint, from a space of deep awareness. We find that hazel eyes resonate with the energy of the weaver, a deeply intricate current capable of profound adaptation, self-reinvention, and embracing paradox. These individuals are often just as hard to categorize as their eye color. One moment they may be deeply grounded in practical matters, the next lost in abstract thought. In one situation they are fiercely logical, in another they are guided by a wild intuition. This isn't a sign of instability, but a reflection that they carry many different threads, all woven into one being, Ancient teachings speak of the different masks we wear to navigate the world. The danger is not in wearing these masks, but in mistaking them for our true face. Hazel-eyed souls, whether they know it or not, tend to see through these layers in themselves and in others. They are naturally familiar with the art of the mask and are often drawn to inviting others to set theirs aside. This is why many people feel a sense of ease with them. There's a disarming quality in their gaze, a silent message that seems to say, "You can be all of yourselves with me." And yet, the great paradox is that hazel-eyed people can face deep struggles with their own sense of a solid identity, because they are capable of being so many things to so many people. They can lose sight of who they are when they are alone. They can become emotional chameleons, shifting their energetic colors simply to survive or to bring comfort to others. The shadow of the weaver is diffusion, confusion, and inconsistency. If they operate from a fear of rejection, they can become too fluid, almost invisible. They may also wear their masks so skillfully that they forget what lies beneath. But when this energy is integrated, when the hazel-eyed soul learns to hold all of their threads with love, they become a living bridge between worlds. They can understand vastly different points of view, help others break free from rigid self-concepts, and see creative harmony where others only perceive chaos. They don't just shift between identities. They embody the beauty of synthesis, not as a performance, but as a genuine gift. In Hazel Eyes, the journey isn't about choosing one single truth. It's about learning to hold multiple truths at once while consciously choosing love, presence, and authentic expression. Gray Eyes, the observer, the silent sage, the witness to patterns. Gray eyes are perhaps the rarest of all, not only in number, but also in the quality of their presence. When you meet someone with true gray eyes, there is often a moment of stillness, a feeling of being quietly seen and understood. As a color, gray is perfectly neutral, holding the space between dark and light. It contains opposites within itself. It maintains a quiet tension, and it does not clamor for attention. It absorbs rather than projects. It waits, it considers, it contemplates. In the language of energy, the gray eyes resonate with the pattern of the observer, or even the inner sage. These are often people who have felt like they are watching the world from a gentle distance, even from a young age. They do not rush to the center of the action. They do not give an immediate emotional reaction. Instead, they analyze, they question, they witness. Their minds are often incredibly sharp, nuanced, and philosophical. They may possess a natural gift for recognizing patterns, not just in the world around them, but in the flow of life itself. They notice how things connect, where they fall apart, and what hidden currents are at play that no one else is seeing. But this clarity can come at a price. Because they see with such depth, gray-eyed people may struggle with overthinking, a sense of emotional distance, or existential questioning. They can appear cool, aloof, or even guarded, protecting their hearts because they have witnessed how carelessly others can treat them. Some spiritual traditions speak of this mental clarity, but warn that thinking alone is not enough to create a whole life. It must be balanced with feeling, with a connection to the body, and with a trust in intuition. The path of the observer is beautiful when it leads to wisdom, but it becomes a prison when it turns into isolation. Gray-eyed people often carry a quiet ache, a sense that they were never quite meant to fit into any one group. Their deepest work is to learn that clarity does not require emotional distance, that a powerful presence can be both contemplative and warm. When they learn to soften into their insight, when they choose to share their clarity with compassion, rather than holding it back, they become incredible guides. They do not demand influence or seek followers, yet people are naturally drawn to them anyway, because in a loud and chaotic world, their kind of deep, quiet clarity is a rare and precious gift. And these souls often carry it effortlessly within. Very dark or black eyes, the keeper of the void, the unseen depths. Then there are the eyes so dark it can be hard to distinguish the pupil from the iris. We often call them black, though no eye is perfectly black. It is simply a very deep brown, sometimes revealing hints of blue or red in the light. But symbolically, the color black represents depth itself, mystery, the great void from which all things are born. In the language of ancient wisdom, it aligns with the power of the unknown, not as something to be feared, but as the source of all potential. People with very dark eyes often carry a tangible intensity. Their gaze is often felt before it is fully seen. There's something timeless, silent, and deeply potent about their presence. Others might describe them as private, powerful, magnetic, or difficult to read. This is because the dark-eyed soul often embodies the energy of deep mystery and hidden power. This is not a role they choose consciously. They may not even be aware of it. But they often evoke a strong reaction in others without effort. People project their own fears, desires, or unexamined assumptions onto them, and they feel the weight of this. A core spiritual teaching warns that when a person becomes a screen for others' projections, they risk being constantly misunderstood, held at a distance, or even unfairly idolized. Their work is not to run from this, but to integrate it, to understand why their energy can act as a trigger for the hidden parts of others. People with very dark eyes are often incredibly emotionally deep beneath a very still surface. They may feel everything profoundly but express very little. They can seem indifferent while absorbing everything around them. They are natural keepers of that which is unconscious, unsaid, ancestral, and primal. The challenge in their path lies in holding too much, in never allowing the light to enter the depths. The journey is to realize that depth is not the same as darkness, that what is hidden within them is not bad, but merely unseen. And when they learn to bring their inner treasures to the light, not by force, but through self-trust and vulnerability, they become something incredibly rare, keepers of transformation. They are powerful not because they shine brightly, but because they provide an unshakable vessel that can hold others through their own fires. Their purpose is not to be the light, it is to be the anchor. And in that stillness, they can quiet entire storms. After exploring all these colors and their energetic currents, one truth remains steadfast. The most potent aspect of the eyes is not their particular hue, but the quality of the gaze itself. For the gaze is active, it is the spirit reaching out into the world. And that gaze carries a story of your pain, your hope, your curiosity, your boundaries, your wisdom. It is never neutral. It is a living mirror of all you have been, all you have pushed away, and all you are striving to become. It is taught that the parts of ourselves we ignore, the shadow aspects, do not disappear. They reveal themselves most clearly in how we look upon others, in the silent judgments we make, in the people who fascinate or irritate us for reasons we cannot explain. So, the next time you look into another's eyes or contemplate your own in the mirror, ask gently, what part of me is looking right now? Is it the part that is afraid, the part that is longing, the part that needs to control, or the part that is compassionate? Is it my wound that is seeing, or my wisdom? Our eyes may be colored by our biology, but our gaze is shaped by our journey, and it is in the quality of that gaze that our soul's truth is most purely revealed. The essence of our journey so far is this eye color is not merely a detail of our physical body. It can be understood as a symbolic fingerprint, an energetic signature, a quiet reflection of the deep currents of life moving within us. Blue, brown, green, hazel, gray, black. Each carries not just a pigment, but a potential meaning. And yet, there is something even more profound than the color itself. It is the gaze. The gaze is what animates these colors, what infuses them with intention, with feeling, with stories. And it is through our gaze that we both reveal our inner world and create the world around us. The great wisdom traditions teach that every human being is born with a connection to a vast, silent awareness. Not just a personal memory bank, but a connection to something deeper, a collective field of wisdom. This is the realm of universal energies, those timeless patterns that exist in every soul regardless of their culture or background. These patterns are not rigid boxes. They are living currents of energy that shape how we navigate our path. It is believed that each of us arrives with a unique blend of these energies. Some are active and visible, others are quiet and hidden, but all are present, waiting for our gentle awareness to recognize, express, and integrate them. What makes our eyes such a powerful gateway to these forces is that they exist at the very intersection of the seen and the unseen. They are physical organs, yet they do not just receive light, they transmit it. They communicate what our words cannot. They convey our state of being, our deepest feelings, our true motives. The gaze is where our soul quietly meets the world, and here, the true work of inner growth begins. This journey is the sacred process of becoming whole. It is a long, sometimes challenging, but always rewarding path of embracing all parts of ourselves, especially those we have judged, rejected, or hidden away in the shadows. It asks us to look with compassion at the roles we play and the defenses we have built around our hearts. It calls us to turn inward with honesty and ask, what part of my true self have I buried in order to survive? What feelings have I silenced in order to be accepted? What gifts have I been afraid to share because it might make me stand out? This is where our eyes become powerful tools for self-reflection. Because more than anything, the way we look at ourselves, at others, and at the world reveals whether we are living unconsciously or awakening to our own truth. A gaze that is constantly judging, cynical, or fearful often comes from an inner world that is at war with itself. A gaze that is gentle, open, and steady often belongs to someone who has started to make peace with their own beautiful complexity. You have met these people. You may not have had the words for it, but you have felt their presence. People whose eyes seem to hold a vast and quiet space. People who don't need to speak much because their being itself communicates a sense of peace. These are often souls who have walked through their own difficulties and returned not bitter, but transformed. Their gaze is not empty. It is full, not of performance, but of pure presence. This points to a profound insight from the ancient masters. We can only truly recognize in others what we have first been willing to see in ourselves. This is the law of reflection. When we encounter something in another person that triggers a strong reaction in us, whether it's admiration, irritation, or attraction, it is often a mirror showing us a hidden part of our own inner world. So, the gaze becomes a mirror not only of the other person, but of what we ourselves are ready to face. For instance, someone with a piercing gaze might make us feel uncomfortable, not because of what they are doing, but because their direct energy challenges our own inner walls. Someone with warm, earthy eyes may evoke a deep sense of longing because they reflect a feeling of safety we may not have fully received. Someone whose eyes seem to change colors may stir a feeling of confusion because they mirror our own inner multiplicity. In this way, the color and quality of others' eyes can be activation points, keys that unlock deeper self-awareness. When we start to ask what we feel when certain people look at us, and what we feel when we look at them, we begin to enter the sacred territory of the soul. At that moment, we are in direct dialogue with our deeper self. And if we can stay with that feeling instead of running from it, something within us begins to gently shift. This is why spiritual practices worldwide have long held eye contact as a sacred tool. In some lineages, a teacher transmits wisdom not with words, but through a shared gaze. In others, gazing into a mirror becomes a way to meet one's deeper essence. The simple practice of two people sitting in silence and holding eye contact is known to dissolve social masks and bring forth profound emotions, even tears, without a single word being said. Why? Because the gaze bypasses the logical mind. It speaks directly from spirit to spirit. It moves past the ego and connects with our shared humanity. When we understand this, our focus changes. We stop worrying so much about how we appear to others and start asking a more important question. What is looking through my eyes right now? Am I seeing the world through the eyes of my own past wounds? Through the eyes of a fearful child, an anxious critic, or a lonely heart? Or am I beginning to see through the eyes of my healed, whole self? One who no longer needs to hide. When we change the awareness behind our gaze, we change our entire experience of life. Here, the idea of the teacher as student becomes deeply relevant. This is the one who has known suffering but, instead of being broken by it, allows their journey to become a source of compassion for others. In their gaze, you find empathy, not pity. You feel strength, not hardness. You receive compassion, not judgment. Many people with intense or unique eyes carry this quality. Others may comment on their eyes, not realizing what they truly sense is the presence behind them. A soul that has journeyed through darkness and returned carrying its own quiet light. And there is one final element: the gaze is not just how we express ourselves, it's how we choose to witness the world. Do we look at others as separate, as rivals, as objects, or as distractions? Or do we train ourselves to see them as fellow souls, as mirrors, as stories unfolding just like our own? True wisdom is learning to see another person free from the stories we project onto them. It is learning to hold them in a space of compassionate awareness, acknowledging that they, too, are shaped by forces both seen and unseen. When we do this, when our gaze becomes a vessel of understanding rather than judgment, we participate in a quiet healing. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone we meet. Our gaze becomes medicine. Our presence becomes a sanctuary. So as we come to this point, let's take a moment of quiet reflection. How do you look at the world? How do you look at the people in your life? And most importantly, how do you look at yourself in the mirror? Is your gaze hurried, anxious, or critical? Or is it slowly, gently, softening into curiosity, acceptance, and clarity? You do not need a specific eye color to hold deep wisdom. You do not need rare eyes to have a rare and beautiful heart. The color may be a symbol, but the quality of your gaze is what transforms your life. And in the end, it is not your eyes that make you powerful. It is the consciousness that is looking through them. That is the truth worth remembering. Behind every pair of eyes is a spirit trying to awaken, a pattern seeking harmony, a shadow asking to be held in the light, and a brilliance longing to be shared. You were given your eyes not just to see the world, but to truly understand it. Not just to observe life, but to awaken to it. And now that you hold this awareness, the real question arises: what will you choose to see next? You came into this world with a gaze that no one else has. Not because of its color, but because of the unique soul that animates it. And perhaps that unique gaze has been quietly shaping every connection, every moment of silence, and every step of your awakening all along. The ancient masters taught that when we become aware of our own patterns, we are finally free to transform them. And now that you have looked more deeply into your own eyes, not just as physical organs, but as symbols of your existence, you have already taken the first step. Because when the soul begins to truly see itself, the journey of awakening never ends. Your eyes don't just look at the world, they reveal the one within who dares to witness it with love. To commit to this path of seeing with greater clarity and compassion, let your subscription be a promise to yourself. It is a quiet gesture that you are ready to continue this beautiful journey of inner awakening. Your likes and shares also help this light of understanding reach others who may be searching for it.